I think some people raise their eyebrows and go, oh, this won't last.
You're not drinking can cause anxiety for other people.
Thought I was more fun when I was drinking. I'm not.
I like who I am when I don't drink. Welcome back to The Upward Spiral. I'm your host, Michelle O'Brien. And today we have got a truly extraordinary guest who embodies the transformative power of unbecoming. This is going to be a fun one. So please, can I introduce you today to Elizabeth Theodorus, founder of Dipsy Dips, former restaurant owner and former personal chef, hoping for an invite one day round to be fed. Really excited for you guys to hear Elizabeth's story today. Elizabeth made the bold decision to quit alcohol on New Year's Eve. It's been a little bit of a journey, but that single choice sparked a chain reaction of personal growth and entrepreneurial success. So in this episode, we're going to be diving into Elizabeth's journey of shedding societal expectations, embracing her authentic self, and building a thriving business without relying on alcohol. Elizabeth, welcome to Podster, the podcast studio here in Singapore. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. And thrilled to be here.
Yay. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm excited. This is such a fun space. I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I cannot recommend it enough to anyone who would be looking to start a podcast that just makes everything so easy and so professional.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's beautiful, especially when you get the good lighting as well.
Well, yes, please.
knocks a few years off you. So yeah, let's dive straight into your story. So tell me a little bit about kind of what led you to knocking the booze on the head earlier this year.
A lot of reasons, really. I think over the last couple of years, I've had longer and longer spurts of not drinking, and it was a lot easier than I thought. And I think I like myself better when I'm not. I really came to New Year's Eve and I just went, yeah, that's it. And I didn't really give myself a particular time frame. I just thought, let's give this a go. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I didn't want to be particularly strict with myself because we all fail and, you know, that's part of growth. But I haven't felt any need to drink. And it's been surprising the change in people around me, incredible change in myself, better relationships, just better, pretty much everything, which I think we all kind of know in the back of our heads, don't we? I mean, most of us know that drinking too much alcohol is not great for us, particularly for me. It really wasn't good for myriad reasons, which I'm sure we will delve into. Yeah. But I think it's been a really good decision for me. I have a fairly new business called Dipsy Dips. We make an aspirational product at a, achievable price. Basically, we make hummus in Singapore, which I could not believe that no one else was doing it. It's a high protein, healthy snack that is literally one of the biggest growth areas in snacking in the world. And no one was doing it here. And what was on the shelves was actually coming from other countries, and it was full of preservatives, and it had long shelf lives, and it had gums, and the second ingredient would be water, which basically means that you're not eating a lot of a nutrient-dense product. It's whipped into the water, and those gums make it more viscous, and you have more product in your tub. So I thought, well, why don't we do it here? Less food miles, although everything's imported in Singapore, but, let's try and do a better product for you that is delicious and healthy and full of protein and good for you and anyone can eat. And it's been going really well. So basically I thought, okay, I've been doing this for a couple of years now at the tail end of COVID. Nothing's been easy at the end of COVID. But I thought, let's get off the booze, try and be the best person you can be for 2024 and see where we're at the end of the year. And if nothing's changed, then, okay, it's something we tried, but everything's been better. Yeah. Everything has been better. So it's been really interesting. I'm less tired. I spend more time on fitness, which is good for my brain as well. I really need it for my mindset. It's been great for my relationship with my partner. He drinks a lot less now too. We choose what we do and who we do it with. Our relationships with everyone around us seem to be better, and stronger, and we've gotten rid of a lot of the noise.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just feel like I'm attracting really interesting people now.
Same. Oh my God.
Yeah. Ambitious, interesting people who are just doing cool stuff. I'm hearing more. I'm hearing more about what's going on in the country, what's going on in the world. I always thought Singapore was maybe lacking in culture and things to do.
I've always thought that too.
Yeah, and it's not the case at all.
It's
like
not.
As soon as you stop thinking that everything evolves around booze, you actually uncover so many incredible things that are going on.
It's a revelation.
Around you.
And do you find that you're? I'm always a believer. In the last few years, you're a product of the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm a introverted extrovert, so I really have to force myself to be chatty and to mix with people. And people always find that really surprising about me. Yeah. But I always had alcohol as a crutch, and it wasn't my friend because the people that I'd end up chatting to at the end of the night, not my favourite people generally. Whereas now, the people that I have in my life, they're, like you said, and it doesn't matter if they're successful or, but they're true to themselves and they're busy and they have, ideas, and they're not talking about people. They're talking about, what's going on in the world. It's a lot more fulfilling, the conversations that I'm having, the people that I'm meeting. Let's go for a walk or let's go to the gym instead of let's go out for a drink. And it's been quite interesting, I have to say.
Yeah, the conversations just feel so much more authentic.
Yeah,
and we're talking about things that mean something to different people, and people's passions and interests and hobbies, and because you have time for it now.
Yeah. Well, I find it a lot more engaging as well. And I find, and I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but it certainly has been for my purpose of this year, is that the people that I'm talking to, we tend to be talking about business, and we're brought together with this shared love of health and being better and better food. And, why isn't this happening in Singapore? Oh, I've got a great friend that, two great friends that I know you've already spoken to, Emma Pike and Rebecca Ford. And, and it's this mindset of just being better, do better, which is always that cringy sort of, catchphrase, do better. But I think that's what we're trying to do. And we're all getting older and we've got more knowledge now. So why wouldn't you make choices that are healthier for you and better for you? Not to say that was always the case for me, but I think it is certainly at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a very similar story to me, as I just felt like I wasn't reaching my full potential.
Yeah, totally.
And I just felt like something was holding me back and something had to give. If I wanted
What was holding you back? You.
Yeah,
myself,
right?
I've been holding myself back for years, self-sabotage. And you just sort of think, why the hell are you doing this to yourself when you're so, not to say that I am, but, we all have our skill set, and I have skill sets that I was sabotaging by, going out on a weeknight and, being tired the next day and making mistakes and, having a hangover.
Yeah.
For what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, complete the same path. I also liked at the beginning how you said you like yourself more.
Yeah, I totally do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was a big revelation to me. And I've said this kind of on the podcast before is, I'm like, it's taken me a bit of therapy and not drinking to realize like I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And like I like who I am.
Yeah, totally.
And, and being kind of maybe more confident to show my most authentic self to the world. But I like who I am when I don't drink.
Well, so you should. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
But yeah, I totally agree. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with myself and thought I was more fun when I was drinking. I'm not. Shocker. And it affected people around me. It affected my partner and it affected my good friends. I can't drink a lot. I'm like you. I'm not very big. And I've taken a medication for anxiety for 25 years. The two do not mix.
Yeah.
And I'm very much all or nothing. I can't just have one or two drinks. I wish I could. And, props to people that can. People manage alcohol really well. It's a great thing if that's your thing. And look, it's, I don't want to sound pious because I'm so not. I'm so aware of the mistakes I've made in my past and, do whatever floats your boat, do it. But now we've got options, which we didn't have before, which is, this fantastic, new drinks that are out there. You can join in the party. You can be part of the dinner party. You can take your own, alcohol-free booze if you want to and no one's questioning you.
Yeah.
The people that sort of say, oh, you're not drinking tend to be the people that maybe it's more of a reflection on them. Than on me or my friends that aren't drinking.
So let's talk a little bit about how you started to navigate social situations.
Yeah.
Because I believe, whilst drinking, you thought you were the life of the party.
Yeah.
How's that changed?
I think some people, raise their eyebrows and go, oh, this won't last, really? You're still not drinking? It's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. You sure you don't want one? No, I'm good. I discovered alcohol-free beer, which I have never had beer in my life. But it makes you kind of feel, I don't know, maybe it's a placebo. Either way, I really quite enjoy it. It's refreshing at the end of the day. I hate it when I go somewhere and there is not an option on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
To the point that we eat out less and less and less. There are a few places that we loved going. I've asked them that many times if they can get something that's on the menu that's not, that's not a soda or full of sugar. And they're like, oh, we're looking into it. But they're not, which is madness. The coolest places have got something on the menu that's not a mocktail, that, a bit of thought's gone into it. And it just shows how far ahead they are of, the competition. I've just come back from Australia. We went to one of the best restaurants, in Australia called Gimlet. It is superb on every level. The food's incredible, the service is incredible. They had a whole page of alcohol-free wine, a few beers, a few mocktails. I didn't think they even called them mocktails, which I always find really such a nasty word, it just sounds so twee. And everything was delicious.
Yeah.
My girlfriend who was actually drinking, she tasted my alcohol-free wine. She said, wow, that's really, really good. And it was. So we've just come so far ahead, which is amazing.
And so the interactions that you've had at some of these kind of gatherings, parties, barbecues, I think you said to me the other day that a guy kind of came up to you and said, oh, you're actually fun, you're still fun. Or
It was bizarre. It was like, you're not drinking? I said, no. He said, oh, come on. I said, no, I'm good. It's fine, I'm good. He said, oh, come on, you got to have a drink, this is a party. And I said, no, I'm fine without it. And he said, I started chatting to him. He kept on pushing and pushing. And I said, seriously, dude, I'm fine. And he said, you're actually really quite, you're fun and interesting. I've never met anyone, that's not drinking, that's, that can actually be interesting. I said, wow. I said, you need to get out more, you must have a very small group of people. And it was a very boozy day. It was, it was a major milestone birthday for someone. And, I get it. It was part of the culture, but people just really didn't understand it.
Yeah. I bet he's interacted with tons of people who weren't drinking. He just assumed they were.
Yeah, totally.
And I bet I think it's probably not him just, it's just what his view of the world.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a girls group that I caught up with earlier this year, and we went away for a weekend, and it was lovely, but, everyone was going till 12, 1, 2 in the morning. I was tucked up in bed by 10 in the morning, 10 at night, sorry, 10 in the morning. Ooh. And there are a few people that really couldn't cope with it. One in particular, she just badgered me, how are you doing it? I should be doing this. And I said, well, you just do it.
Yeah.
I said, don't give yourself any rules. Just, try it.
Yeah.
She, has a lot of anxiety like myself. It wouldn't hurt her.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But I see this situations that maybe this person puts themselves into, very parallel to myself. Yeah. Could not get it through her brain that it was a better choice. It could be a better choice. You can still enjoy what's going on. Yeah. There are options now.
It's crazy how not drinking can cause so much anxiety.
For other people.
Yeah, of course. So in that kind of respect is, you're not drinking can cause anxiety for other people, but the making the decision of not to drink, the when to drink, what I'm going to say when somebody asks if I want a drink, how am I going to navigate that situation? Do I need an excuse? If I do need an excuse, what type of an excuse am I going to give? Are people going to accept that excuse? Are people then going to badger me? How am I going to keep saying no? How do I decide when I want to leave? How can I get up and leave the party or the event without being rude? How am I going to get home? All of these different questions that you can start asking yourself as a new non-drinker going on a night out can cause a hell of a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
How am I going to navigate this? How am I not going to drink? What if I want a drink? How am I going to, what am I going to do instead? And I think for maybe someone who has anxiety, the thought of not drinking and navigating all of that might cause more anxiety than just to continue drinking that causes anxiety when you drink.
Yeah, I know. It's a vicious circle, right? Yeah. I'd always have a couple of drinks. Like often I'd have a glass of something while I was getting ready, and just to sort of, I don't know what I think I was doing, but, just to sort of calm the flame. It's just craziness.
Yeah.
And then I'd have the anxiety the next day of, I'd be tired and did I say anything wrong? Or, I come from Australian culture where everyone would have at least a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And then maybe a cocktail or two. I can probably have 2 glasses of wine safely. After that,
get a bit loose.
Nothing's good. You get louder. It's hopefully I've learnt. I think this year's really, I have had a glass of champagne with a friend who had just had a baby, and she was desperate to have a glass of champagne. I had 2 sips of it and I said, here you go, darling, cheers. And she's just such a dear friend. We'd gone to visit them overseas and it was enough. It was the motion of doing it, and she was happy. It didn't really matter. There's a quote that I love. I mean, I know we were talking about that other quote, and I'm sure we'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
But it's by Dr. Seuss, and it's basically goes along the lines of those that care don't matter, and those that matter don't care. I've really got some beautiful, beautiful people in my life, and I want to protect them, I don't want to be drunk and disorderly and, messy or, even if I wasn't, I don't want that anymore.
So I just want to kind of come on to unbecoming and like authenticity.
Yeah.
So how did alcohol play a role in shaping your identity and maybe masking certain aspects of yourself?
I think alcohol was in my life from a very young age, not with my parents. They didn't really drink at all. My brother was an addict. He was actually a heroin addict. And I think I probably have levels of addiction, a tendency towards addiction myself. I'm all or nothing.
Yeah.
And so from quite a young age, we were always kind of monitoring him. I was always a grade student, tried to be as perfect as I could. Consequently, I rebelled, in my mid-teens. I was never part of a big group. I always kind of wanted to be part of something, and I never was, and I never will be. It's just not my thing. I've always kind of been on the outer, and alcohol sort of presented that way to be kind of, part of the fun. And I think it just went on through my life. I attracted people that weren't necessarily good for me. I've got a very strong core of girlfriends from school that I still have. I've got very dear friends that I still have, but I've never been someone that's had masses of people around me, and I don't like it personally. I like small quality conversations and friendships, but socially that is quite difficult. So I'd want to be part of, the cool scene. I'd go out with very inappropriate men that tended to be big drinkers and had their own addictive personalities, and I had a lot of loss early in life and with friends and boyfriends and my family, which I guess in turn led to my high levels of anxiety. Then I would still keep drinking the amounts I was drinking whilst medicated. As we said, not the smartest thing to do. But you kind of just do it. You sort of think, oh, I'm fine. But, I wasn't.
Were there two Elizabeths? Not in a kind of schizophrenic way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's, very happy at home, reading a book, cooking, gardening, doing all those things. I'm not good at social stuff, I don't think. Other people would disagree, but I never think that I'm memorable or that I have any presence. I'm incredibly hard on myself. So much.
Honestly, it's very similar to myself.
Yeah.
I was desperate to grow up.
Yeah.
Totally. and alcohol. My parents drank and everything, and we were very much kind of a party house.
Yeah.
But I was, associated kind of alcohol with being an adult and growing up, even though I kind of started drinking about 16. And especially looking younger than I am my age, there was always that kind of, maybe if I start drinking and then...
Well, I always looked older for my age, which was interesting. Yeah. And then I stopped growing. So, I was the tallest in primary school. At 12, I looked like I was 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So, there was that kind of, early development. Yeah. And, boys would look at me like I was a lot older than I was.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a part of me that liked that. I don't know, Ugh.
That's difficult, and it's
a
difficult challenge, and it's right.
That's another conversation.
That's another podcast.
Totally.
But what I kind of found is that there was definitely kind of two Michelles, and I never let a lot of people see the real me, the me that loves being at home, that's just complete movie nerd, that is incredibly creative, really passionate about things, and I get really geeky about things. I get really, really into stuff. And I think kind of growing up, a lot of that, if ever that was kind of revealed in school, being really into something and really passionate about it, a lot of kind of people would shoot that down. A lot of kids would shoot that down. And I started to really kind of hide that part of myself and tried to behave in a way that I thought was everyone wanted me to behave. And that was not just with alcohol, that was without as well. And so that would be kind of like looking at different social cues, looking at how others behaved, copying other behaviours, copying behaviours that were maybe online, not online, like TV shows, movies and TV shows, behaving like the girls in Sex and City and stuff like that. And obviously kind of alcohol played a role in that. And so I just feel that I kind of ended up with these two sides of myself, and one that was kind of very public facing, and that was one that people who would say they know me and they thought that was me. And actually that wasn't at all. Like there was this person in the background that I really only kind of kept for very special people, mainly my family.
Yeah.
And that was...
Don't you just think, what a waste?
Oh, completely.
Oh my God. I'm so annoyed with myself for so many things over the years. I just think, oh my God, the attention and care you gave to people that could not care less about you.
Oh, yeah.
And it really wasn't until I met my partner now, Nick, I changed my whole idea about what I wanted in a life partner, And he is the absolute opposite of everything that I'd gone for in the past. And it was the best thing I've ever done, you know. And I think it was, you know, without giving all the value of the changes in me to him, it was me starting to value myself and think, oh, my God, you know, these guys that you're going for, these people that you're surrounding yourself with, they are not the answer. I was surrounding myself with people that were edgy, you know, a bit wild. Yeah, not great.
And I know what you're saying about your partner, because it was similar for me. And, you know, I met him 6 weeks later. I left the country and with a one-way ticket to Asia. And 8 weeks later, he turned up in Borneo and kind of followed me. And I freaked out. I was like, this is too much pressure. Like, I need to. And I made him travel as friends for about 3 months. But, you know, when you travel with someone, there's no hiding.
No, oh my gosh, isn't that, it's raw, right? But isn't that amazing that he saw something in you that you probably didn't know was there?
100%.
And he backed you.
Yeah.
And him backing you enabled you to back yourself. Yeah. And that's what I find with Nick. He, you know, backs my business, you know, not financially, but, you know, he's just like, you have got this. When I have this fear of, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? You know, he's like, babe, you are doing something really cool, really amazing. He said, you know, you're changing a landscape of something that doesn't exist. You're creating a category, even though it's not a category, but it is a new category in Singapore. Yeah. You know, what you're doing, you're creating new categories, new conversations, you know, opening up this world of zero alc, or, you know, I don't even know. We need to come up with better words for it, right? Having someone really believe in you just enables you to progress so far. Yeah. And quite often quite quickly.
When we met, I was a shell of like myself. And but I don't know what he saw, you know.
Yeah, I was too. I was a mess.
He saw something and that was, but you know, it was the months of kind of being able to be myself. And then we had a break. I went to a yoga and meditation retreat and I reflected on it. And I was like, hang on a minute, this guy not only has quit his job and chased you halfway around the world, he's giving you the time, but to kind of work through things. But I missed him. I missed being around him. And I was like, okay.
I love that.
And it's because I was 100% myself with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's... Again, and I need to get him on this podcast actually, because
absolutely,
I'd love to know what he thought about how my behaviour changed when I did drink.
I often think that about Nick. I sort of think, what did you see in me? I was a shell of myself. I'd moved here. I was very thin. I was burnt out. I'd just sold my restaurant. I had no real plan, you know, and I met him and within 3 weeks, we'd moved in together. It was all very fast, and it was just there was no question. Yeah. But you know, I agree with you. I sort of think, what did you see in me? Yeah. You know. Anyway, thank God he did, and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. In what ways did letting go of alcohol help uncover your authentic self?
I'm really funny about that authentic self. It sounds so Oprah, who I do love, but you know, it's it just sounds so American. I think I'm more present. I have a very busy brain, which is part of my anxiety, and not to. I know I'm mentioning my anxiety a lot. It comes and goes. Yeah. But it's very hard to switch it off. And, you know, I have parts that are always self-blaming. That's quietened. Things quieten. The things that, you know, my stress levels, my worry, you know, guilt, shame. I think I know I'm a better person. You know, I've always been, you know, pretty healthy. You know, my diet is really great, you know, exemplary really. You know, just getting older, I think, as well. I wish I'd done it younger. I wish I'd done it earlier. You know, you can't get that back. But, you know, now I sort of think, look, we're going to live till we're 100. And we will, because we've got the technology. We've, you know, the strides in medicine. We are going to live that long, maybe longer. So at least the second half of my life is going to be, fulfilled and fantastic. And I'm still going to be, exercising when I'm 90 and, and enjoying life and doing the things that bring me joy. I care less.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't like me, okay.
Yeah.
Whatevs. I'm not too fussed because I just sort of think, okay, if I'm not your we're not everyone's cup of tea.
But you know what's so funny is like when I was still drinking, I would have agonised over somebody liking me.
It would be like Monica and Friends.
Yeah.
Why don't you like me?
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny over the last kind of 2 years, like doing the work as well, because like it's not just a case of quitting the alcohol. Like 6 months into quitting the alcohol, stuff comes up and you realise that you have to deal with some things. And you realise you're ready to deal with some things and that you're equipped and you're healthy and you're clear-headed and you're ready. And so it's great in that respect. But it has taken some work to come to that point to be like, actually, I like who I am.
Yeah, I really like who I am.
I'm a good person. Yeah. And that's okay. And I think that idea of being a good person as well is for so long I held on to shame and regret and disappointment in myself at how I'd behaved a lot of the time when I was drunk, that I didn't think I was a good person. And I struggled to let go of the shame and regret, just to let go of all of it because there was part of myself that wanted to keep punishing myself for how I'd behaved. And because I didn't believe I was a good person.
Oh, love.
And so
I think we define ourselves by it, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think we're very similar in that aspect. And you just have to let it go.
Yeah.
Because you can't change anything about it.
Yeah. There's so much kind of like bullshit around, alcohol didn't make you do that. That's you and that's who you are and that's your personality. That's your personality heightened. That and it, I'm not blaming alcohol for everything at all. Like I 100% take responsibility for myself, but it's the beliefs that were completely around that behaviour.
It's messy, it's entangled, but we all do stupid things when we're drunk. Everyone does, and it's an excuse. But it's a lot deeper than that. But at the end of the day, you just have to go, okay, well, let's not do that again.
Like I've removed that substance from my life, and 95% of my problems have gone away.
Same.
Which is mental. And I wasn't even drinking that much by the end. My patience with my kids, my stress and anxiety around work. I was in a big corporate job and it was hard. And I was some weeks I was not struggling. I was crying coming home from work. All of that went away. Yeah. My relationships got stronger. My relationship with my husband got better. Like every single thing in my life improved when I removed that substance, and it was only 2 glasses a week, which is just crazy.
I guess, in some ways you put the blame on that. And then when you remove those couple of glasses of wine a week, you have to actually do the work and face up to, okay, why am I so tired? Why am I getting annoyed with the children? Why am I doing this, that and the other? And when there's no excuse, whether that's alcohol, drugs, whatever, you have to actually come to some discoveries about yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is confronting.
Yeah.
None of us like that.
No.
None of us like that.
Not at all. But doing that work has 100% led to me just feeling so much better.
I'm so happy for you.
And who I am.
Yeah.
And you.
I agree.
As well,
I agree.
Right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation on Thursday last week at a meeting that went from an hour to 2.5 hours.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like,
we couldn't stop talking.
Why do I feel so tired?
And then afterwards I went on social and this quote popped up. And I'm going to read the quote for the audience, but I sent it to you straight away to go, oh my God, like it's so funny. This was just everything that we talked about. And the quote is by Paulo Coelho. I'm definitely going to be saying that wrong. But it's, maybe the journey isn't about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you so that you can be who you were meant to be in the first place.
Oh God, I love it.
Yeah.
When you sent that to me, I cried, and I don't cry a lot. I just went, wow, that is so. It was so timely after the conversations we'd had, and it was really that. I can never pronounce his name either, but gosh, he says some wonderful things, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But unbecoming, forgiving yourself, just unbecoming the shit that you were before, or the mess that you thought you were before that you probably weren't. It's perception, it's perspective. It's we're so hard on ourselves, often for no reason. No one else sees the angst that we go through. And everyone's got their own little universe that they're living in. Yeah. But this is the stuff we did to ourselves. But the unbecoming was just like, oh my goodness, that's how cool is that?
Yeah. Like I always thought that what I've been going through over the last couple of years was was a transformation, was an evolution, was me becoming the person I was always meant to be.
Sure.
What I didn't realise, and I think until our conversation, until that quote, was it's not a becoming, it's not a transformation, it's not an evolution, it's an unbecoming. It's removing all of that kind of fear, the doubt, the negative kind of self-beliefs.
The noise.
Yeah, it's about kind of shedding all of that and really coming back. Yeah, really coming back to who I am. And I, again, cannot believe that removing alcohol has led to this.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really is mind-blowing, isn't it? It's I look at my stepchildren are visiting us this week, and they're 20 and 22.
Yeah.
And they're so much surer of themselves in a lot of ways than we ever were.
Oh yeah.
But they also have the angst of social media, which, it's a crux. But their ability to go out and, not drink, or, to think someone that, drinks as much as, their parents did, it's uncool. There is such a evolution in these kids that you just sort of think, wow, they've been brought up, they've had some really tough times, these children. But they've gotten through it, and they haven't turned to drugs. I'm sure there might have been experimentation or whatever, but they're really solid. 2 drinks is enough. My stepson will sort of say to Nick, my dad, do you want a beer? And if Nick doesn't want a beer, he won't have one either. It's more of let's have a drink of something together. I'm not saying this in the right way, but it's more of a bonding thing than let's sit down and get smashed, which not necessarily what I used to do, but, you turn up at a function with a bottle of wine or 2. Yeah.
The activity was drinking.
The activity was drinking.
And that's where it's different. And that's where I spoke to Holly, this amazing Gen Z. And she was just incredible. She was like, well, the activity is no longer drinking.
Yeah.
And that applies to a lot of her peers as well. Yeah. Like they don't go out to get drunk and don't go out to drink.
No.
They will go out to have a nice meal. And if they decide to have an alcoholic drink with that meal, they will. They go out to have connection, to have a meaningful experience. And if they have a drink, they have a drink. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
But the activity is not to drink.
Whereas the activity was always to drink. Always.
Yeah.
No question. Exercise you did on your own, or it was just a different time.
Yeah.
And the change in the last 5 years is incredible.
I don't want to negate any of it either, because
because it's fun.
I did have some brilliant times. And my favourite, I was a day drinker, so I loved on kind of like a Saturday or Sunday, particularly when it was sunny, or even when it was cold, like doing pub crawls with all the log fires and going into different
showing
cozy
that you're
pubs
from the UK here.
Yeah, doing all the cozy pubs, or going in the summer, going into kind of the beer gardens and just kind of sitting there with a big group of you and just, another drink after another drink, and maybe let's kind of move on somewhere else to order some food. And I loved it. I did have some brilliant times.
Of course.
And I absolutely loved it. But then I still do it now. I just don't do it without the food.
Well, because I've sort of been in hospitality and food for the last 20 years, and when I had the restaurant, for literally 5 years, I didn't have a social life. So my social life was the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the night, if there were a few customers left and they'd want to have a glass of wine, I might have a glass of wine with them because, but then that would escalate.
Yeah.
And it was drinking, in a short period of time and working in commercial kitchens is really stressful. And when you own it as well, and you're responsible for 20 staff, it's so stressful. So the drinking kind of took the edge off, or you'd think it would take the edge off. So that wasn't great either.
Oh, no, sorry. I can totally imagine, because when I was at university, I worked and the laws changed in the UK and with drinking and licensing, and all of a sudden you could have 24-hour bars.
Oh, my God.
And I worked in one of the UK's first 24-hour bars. And my shift, it was awful. My shift was like 9 in the evening till 9 in the morning. And you either had a 2-hour break, 12 till 2 or 1 till 3, where you had nothing to do apart from have a few drinks, because you were like, you had to keep going for like the rest of your shift. It was absolutely exhausting.
That sounds horrendous.
I used to do it every Friday and Saturday night. And like we've said before, nothing good happens after 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
God, these days I think nothing good happens after 9.
I'm totally with you on that. Yeah. But to be fair, it's a very different country as well. So, by 3 in the morning, you were pretty much only serving people water.
Well, I think it's not dissimilar to Australia. The UK drinking culture is very similar to Australia,
Yeah.
More, 24 hours, who needs a bar open 24 hours? It's insanity.
No. I don't know how many 24-hour bars are even open now anymore, though. I think maybe that was because it was new and everything else. But
crazy.
Yeah, not anymore. So how has your sobriety influenced your approach to entrepreneurship and your business? Has it just changed your decision-making, your creativity, your work ethic? What has changed for you in business?
Everything. I've always had a great work ethic. I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've always, if I don't work, I don't earn. I have a wonderful team of older Singaporean ladies that work for me here, and that's part of my mission with the company, is that we employ ladies that wouldn't otherwise be able to work. So I've got, my eldest is nearly 70.
Oh, wow.
And they're very cool and very capable, but I have to be present a lot of the time because they're not experienced in food. Yeah. And I used to be like a bit of a control freak in the kitchen. Now I can accept 80%. Yeah. I'm the last person that sees every pot that goes out. I make sure I package everything. I can be more present at work. I'm not tired. If I'm pitching to someone, I'm more clued up. I trust my decisions. I back myself. I'm constantly filled with fear, but I do know that I'm doing something really, really good. I think it will be, the business is already successful. We've been really lucky. The product's delicious. It's healthy. It's all of these things. But I will talk to anyone now and not worry. I don't care as much. I don't have the fear. I know that if I met you in a social situation and it was a networking event, I could easily say, hi, I'm Elizabeth Theodorus from Dipsy. This is what I do. Tell me what you do. How can we help each other? I love connecting people. Yeah. Like I love it. I connect at least 10 people a week in different ways. I think there is an abundance. I think there's enough for everyone. I think maybe in the past, maybe I sort of would be a bit more, I don't want anyone to know my recipes. I don't want anyone to know that. Now I believe in, I'm a big believer in kindness and treating people the way you'd like to be treated. And, giving people chances. Because I'd like to believe, I know there are some people that have given me a second chance and sometimes even a third chance, and I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, I think this whole belief of kindness and abundance and sharing and helping other people. I don't have the anxiety of someone thinking, oh, you're a weirdo, for, saying, hey, how can we do this together or whatever. I don't care about that anymore. So it's a freedom. I guess. Is that a way of putting it?
Yeah. I like that as well. Yeah.
It's it enables you to be, well, it's enabled me to be a bit more of a risk taker, if anything.
Yeah.
Which is weird because, you know, I always equated the riskiness that in being an entrepreneur, you know, sometimes with the drinking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a risk taker, you know, I've got addiction tendencies, you know, but now that's all gone.
And I think it comes down to just feeling more confident in yourself.
Yeah.
And your ability and your clear-headedness.
Yeah, it's a confidence it's a clear-headed confidence.
Yeah.
No fuzziness.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's really nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely the same.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning my ability to do something. And I was always questioning my ability and my capability. And actually kind of like one of my like daily kind of mantras or like affirmations is like, I'm smart and capable enough to achieve anything that I want.
Yeah.
Because for so long I doubted myself and I doubted my capability.
Same.
I doubted that I was smart enough.
But you know what? You just have to put the work in.
Yeah.
And you can do anything.
Yeah.
If you put the work in.
Yeah.
You know, head down, bum up. You know, people say to me, oh, such and such is doing that and such is doing that in comparable businesses. And I'll just go, you know what? That's their thing. They can do that. I don't want to know. I don't want to, you know, they're not competition. There's enough for all of us. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to head down, bum up, do my work, do something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Be a decent human being is the most important thing to me, you know, and have a bit of integrity.
Oh, completely. I agree with all of that. You touched on then, and you've touched on a couple of times, like addictive tendencies.
Yeah.
Would you be open to talking a little bit more about that and maybe a little bit more about like your brother's journey?
My father was Greek Cypriot, and growing up, my brother and I were, you know, it was the time I certainly had quite a bit of racism towards me, which is ridiculous when you look at me because I could be any nationality. You know, I don't look anything. You know, my parents sent me to a fancy private school that they worked their butt off to send me to. They weren't generational wealth. You know, Dad was an immigrant. And my brother also went to a private school. Always felt like an outsider. My father gambled a bit. My father was an entrepreneur. So sometimes we'd have money, sometimes we wouldn't. Generally, he was successful, but there were times when nothing. And my brother very much, we moved to a country town for my father's business, and my brother really blamed that move on he hated it. And he got in with a really bad crowd, and marijuana turned to whatever you did back in the day. And he, from quite a young age, you know, 14, was, I don't know what he was doing, but I was always very aware and always kind of protecting it from my parents. And then he moved on to heroin. And that was just, it was the worst. Because the person that I knew and loved had gone. But you still have to protect that person. So it's kind of, I don't know, it was a responsibility because, you know, he would need to be driven to a clinic. So that wasn't fun. He, you know, the brother that I knew was great before that, but he was a different person. He was in a car accident. He was the passenger and he was in a coma for 4 years. He died and my father died a few months later. So, and that was kind of my catalyst for anxiety and, you know, a few things. His addiction really framed a lot of my life in that it was always there. And there was a lot of anger towards that, which, we discussed a few weeks ago, you know, that I came to terms with it. But it took a really, really, really long time. There was a lot of anger towards him for the life that I perceived that I had due to his choices. And that's not fair on anyone. Someone else's choices making your life different, you know. And as you get older, you realise that we all have that in some capacity in our lives. But I had a lot of things all at once. There's other things that happened and, you know, which you kind of couldn't make up. You know, I lost two of my best friends both in alcohol-related accidents, one in a car accident, one in a fatal fall, alcohol-related. I had two partners that commit suicide. I've been in 2 armed hold-ups. You know?
Jesus. It's like, you can write this shit.
I know. It's like buy a lottery ticket.
Brutal.
But, you know, all these things, and they're all alcohol-related. I mean, you do think that one of the armed hold-ups, you know, he was a junkie. And, you know, he handed me a note. And it was clear that my young self didn't realise what was going on. They're all alcohol-related. All these awful, awful things. They're all either alcohol-related or mental health-related.
Yeah.
In a lot of the cases, not all of them, the alcohol relation leads to the mental health problems.
Yeah. The stuff that happens when you're intoxicated and also
you know. So I guess the addiction for my brother, you know, I've always been quite aware that I have it in me. And there was a little bit of there was quite a bit of resentment towards that, in that I probably needed some help too, but my brother always got it because he was, you know, my need to be seen and my need for help wasn't as obvious as his. We know more these days, you know, there's a lot more clarity on mental health, there's a lot more clarity on inclusion and, you know, diversity. And, you know, for me to say diversity sounds so ridiculous, you know, I'm a white woman, you know, but at the time I was the only Greek girl at quite a posh school and I was ostracised. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to go to certain classes. You know, it sounds so bizarre, you know, this racism in the 70s.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've all felt it in some way.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know that can't have been easy and I'm so sorry.
No. I think, you know, you've got to talk about these things. Yeah. And I didn't for a long time. But you have to, because it makes people aware that, oh, shoot, okay, what I'm going through is pretty bad, but, you know, you might have someone that you can talk to about it. You don't have to, you know, hold it all in. Yeah.
And I think it's incredible really that whilst you did drink, you didn't rely on it, you know, it didn't become more than what it was.
Yeah. I think I was always more of a social drinker. I think during COVID we drank a bit at home. Yeah. But that was boredom. We were so bored. You know, what else? There was really very little else to do.
I had babies.
Well, half your luck, you know. That keeps you busy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was boredom.
I was the same as you. I was 100% just a social drinker. Yeah. It was my crutch. It was my prop. It was my confidence. It was what I thought I needed to be to put on that mask and be the person that I thought everyone wanted me to be.
And what have you replaced it with?
I still go out. I definitely don't go out like I used to. I don't get invited out like I used to as well, which is really sad.
I know I don't get invited to some things, which is really annoying. But anyway.
But I have actually said to my husband in the last week or so, I'm ready to start getting my social life back. My kids are an age now, you know, they're 5 and 3. We're out of the baby stage. I don't need to be at home. We're out of COVID. You know, I've done a lot of work. I'm not the same person that I was going into COVID. And I'm ready. I'm ready to start getting my social life back. I want to start going to nights and gigs and festivals. And, you know, I think we're going to see Teddy Swims next Tuesday. And I'm really excited because I'm such a huge fan. But, you know, just things like that. Yeah. Like, I'm ready to start getting back out there. But we cook a lot. We love food.
All of these things, they're quite expensive to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, but so I was talking to my stepchildren and I was saying, you know, how can you, they go to a lot of shows, especially my stepdaughter. She goes to a lot of theatre and she's studying film and she's super talented and she's wonderful. And she's always going to see, you know, she goes and sees every concert, every play, this, that and the other. And it's like, how do you afford it? She doesn't drink.
Yeah.
That's how she affords it. You know, she's choosing to spend her money in better ways, on experiences.
On something that aligns with her values.
Right.
And that's it. And that's, again, some learnings that I had from Holly, who was like, I'm my Gen Z guest. And she was just like, does it align with my values? So she has two things. First of all, it's like, does it align with my values? Yeah. And then second of all, she's got three currencies, money, time, and energy. Is it going to be worth spending the money, time, and energy on that thing? And if you drink, it's not just the money, time, and energy you're spending drinking. It's the days afterwards that you're spending feeling, you know, depleted from your energy standpoint.
The depletion.
And that's like amazing how she's just kind of equating everything. Like, first of all, does it align with my values? Then no, you know, I'm not going. And then if it does or whatever, does it, you know, do I want to spend my currency on it? And I'm like, God, these guys are so smart.
They've got their shit together, haven't they? It's really annoying.
I'm like quickly scribbling notes from our conversation, and I've just been editing it, and I'm like, okay, I need to take that. I need to do that. I need to do that. Gosh, like learning from
these baby Yodas.
Yeah, you think it'd be the other way around, but no way. They're just like, yeah, they're absolutely brilliant. But no, my life is so full now, but it's full of just things that I love doing. You know, like love training for different things. I, you know, the running, the going for gorgeous long walks, the, you know, and like you said, meeting for a friend for a hike around McRitchie is like, for me, just, and having a really meaningful conversation is just 1,000 times better. But we still love food, and we just go out for some incredible meals. And you're knocking 25% off the bill by not drinking.
Oh my gosh, we're knocking 50% off. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it's like we're still going out for amazing meals, and we're still having the, you know, doing the things that we used to do with alcohol. We're just, you know, I'm still going on boat parties.
You love your boat parties.
Love a boat party, and you know, less champagne brunches because we just don't feel like there's value in it. But, you know, it's...
Because, spoiler alert, there isn't.
Yeah, exactly right. And also, like, just getting in touch more with, like, the person I used to be, and, you know, as a child, things that I used to enjoy when I was younger, you know, painting art, you know, cooking crafts, which is just great having children because you can just get into that stuff all the time. I know,
those poor children of yours being forced to do pottery and everything because mum wants to do it.
That is exactly how it is. I'm like, shall we get the craft box out? And they're like, God, not again.
But that's so cool, right?
Yeah, so it's nice. Like, yeah, so much happier. So much more fulfilled with everything.
Yeah, I am too.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me today.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's gone so quickly. I feel like we could talk about a million different things. You know, we could come on again. We'll have another chat.
Okay. We'll talk about food. We'll bring our men folk and see how it's changed their lives.
Yes,
Wouldn't that be interesting? I think maybe we need a dinner party before that. But,
yeah.
I know Nick is, he drinks a lot less.
Tim does as well. You know, I said to Beck, so Rebecca Forward from Free Spirit, you know, we've been talking about doing kind of a live podcast where maybe we kind of get our husbands on and talk about what it's like, because she described herself as like as a bit of a widow, really, to the husband that used to drink and be the life and the soul of the party, and you know, really hurt her, you know, in the loss of such a big chunk of their social life.
That's perspective.
Yeah.
That's her perception, but it's not how it is.
Yeah. Whereas my husband's like an introvert, so he's just like, this is amazing. We don't have to go out anymore.
I know. We never have to leave the house. Yeah. I went out for dinner the other night to a great new place, Dirty Supper. Shout out to them. And the reason I'm shouting out to them is because they had so many alcohol-free choices. They had wines and they had beers. You know, get behind it, guys, because we are choosing to not go to places if they don't have an option for 100%. Us. And we, you know, really big name places that don't have options, it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You have got, we're happy to pay for, you know, $10, $20 a glass of something.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
You know, for them to put something on the menu. I know, I've owned restaurants. I know, you know, they can have just one tiny shelf. It's lazy.
It is. And it's something we've talked a lot about on this podcast. Like, hospitality, please just become more inclusive.
Yeah.
Get some on the menu.
Well,
because
I just
you're
want to say
losing.
one thing. I mean, back in the day, and you, back in your corporate job, I've always been an entrepreneur. The idea that alcohol fuels everything that we go to,
That's bullshit.
you can't do that in this day and age. I mean, the idea that you're having a business meeting and you're getting boozed up,
Yeah.
nothing good's coming from that.
No.
Quite
Nothing.
often something illegal's coming from that. I mean, we see so much evidence of this and everything. Why big, multinationals would have functions where they're fueling their staff with alcohol in a Me Too, era, in an era where getting drunk is not cool anymore.
Oh, yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah. Working 15 years in advertising, I got some stories.
I know. It's just so old school, isn't it? It's it's dinosaur stuff.
It's changing though.
Yeah.
It is changing.
It
Which
is.
amazing. Anyone who's thinking of drinking less, cutting down their drinking, maybe taking some time off, what advice would you give them?
Don't give yourself a hard and fast rule. In fact, I have given myself a rule that if I'm on holiday and I feel like a drink, I can have a drink. I've had a few holidays already this year. I haven't had a drink. But, it's not off the table for me.
Yeah.
It has to be, like your young friend said, it has to be, have the merit of the moment. I guess that's it, have the merit of the moment.
Yeah.
If it's something that you want to be part of, go for it.
Yeah.
But I don't feel any loss. I just feel better for it. It was certainly the right decision for me, and I wish I'd done it earlier. The only anger I have with myself is I should have done it earlier, but I hate the word should. So
Yeah. But you're doing it now, and I hope it continues as well. I hope it's amazing to see you practically glowing.
Oh, thanks, girl. I'm 90 next week.
Oh, wow. You're looking amazing. So I'm going to link below to all of Elizabeth's channels, to Dipsy Dips. So if you want to reach out to Elizabeth, you can do below. And as always, I'm trying to build a community for people who are sober curious, people who are looking at ways to improve themselves, looking at taking a different path. If you like this episode, please like it, share it, add any comments, let me know what you like, what you'd like to change, what you'd like to see more of. And thank you so much for listening or watching, depending on where you are. And I'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thanks for
Elizabeth.
having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.